This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Landmark College, the college for students who learn differently, offering comprehensive supports for students with ADHD and other learning differences, both on campus and online. Learn more at lcdistraction.org.
Hey, this is René Brooks. Welcome back to Distraction. Earlier this week, you heard a conversation from me and producer Sarah Guertin, and we kept the tape rolling for a little while after we were done talking. And it's funny, that's where a lot of the good pieces of the conversation fall sometimes when you're producing content like this. And we got started talking about how being diagnosed with ADHD is almost like being told that you have a secret identity. And we sat and talked that out for a while, and we thought we'd come and share that piece of the conversation with you. So here's your chance to listen in behind the scenes at Distraction. It's almost like the impression that people are left with when they're diagnosed is, now you have a diagnosis, now you're going to be able to hit the mark all the time. And that's not factual, and that's not the way that anyone lives their life. Like, neurotypical people do not wake up out of bed on time every day and say all the right things and show up at all the places on time. It's like, have y'all ever met neurotypical people? Do they always say do the right things? That, like, they're people still. They're still people. So it's like the comparison is an unfair one, and we're really comparing to people who actually don't exist. Like, these people, these perfectly organized, always on time, always emotionally regulated people. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
So we're setting ourselves up to meet this unmeetable standard, and then we get burnt out and frustrated in the process. So it's really like, it's important to just find out where your baseline bare minimum is, and then once you can do that consistently, then talk about going over the top with it. But really, like, can you get to work and stay out of trouble there? Like, can you keep yourself fed and clean? Like, just the basics
Right.
of life. And some of us already have that stuff down. It's just learning how to do the things a little bit differently. Like, I would say most of us, especially if you're diagnosed as an adult, you're probably doing more things right than what you think, because you've made it into adulthood. You've gotten this far. You're still alive. Surely you're doing something right.
That's a good point.
Like, you can't be doing it all wrong, right? Like, there are people who gain advanced degrees and have remarkable jobs, and they just have this area of struggle that alerts them to the fact that there's ADHD. Like, I don't think ADHD is nothing but struggle. Like, there are things that people are not incapable because of their ADHD, I guess, is the point that I'm making in a very convoluted way.
No, I'd say it's part of their humanness.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have to, like, it's like you ever get really, really good at a video game and then go back and play the first level again?
Yeah.
It's really, really easy. So it's like, that's what ADHD is like. And in fact, to swing it back around to Brendan calls ADHD life on hard mode. But when you play life on hard mode all the time, eventually the easier levels get a lot easier. So it's like managing, once you know how to treat your ADHD, the rest of it is just getting better at the game. It's just like, it's a game, and you're going to continue stepping through it. And the things, like, there was a blog post that I read, I don't know, I must have wrote it in 2016 or 2017, And I read it and I laughed at myself because I was like, did you really fucking think this way? Like, this is how you felt about time? And I did. Like, I haven't thought about it that way in years. And so it's like looking in a time capsule at a completely different person. I'm like, oh my God, girl, how did you were a mess. How did you get anything done like this? So I think people come in and they think they're going to be like, this is where I'm at and this is always who I'm going to be. And you learn things about yourself through the journey and you learn things about other people and some people who don't belong in your life anymore, which is a whole nother thing. But real quick, like I found over time that there were people who liked having me around because I was the spontaneous person who was always just kind of blundering around, but I was fun and I was interesting. And then when I started to kind of shape up, so to speak, it was like, oh, well, that's not what we want.
That's not your role.
That's not you. Like, we don't, you want to be taken seriously and respected? Like, that's not what we do with you. And you learn, like, for some people, your improvement is not something that they're interested in. And then those people can't be around anymore, which is fine. Like, it's hurtful, but I don't know.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's like,
It's hard.
You're just kind of like, it's like you find out, it's almost like finding out you have a secret identity, right? Like, there's so many different metaphors you can use for this. But it's like you believe that you're this irresponsible, incapable person. And then you find out, oh no, there's just this thing in the way and you can move it. And you become like laser focused on how you can remove it. And some of the things you can't remove, you just have to work around. So I don't know. Like, it's a journey. And I feel like people, when you come into it, you think you're going to take the meds and that's going to be it. And there is so much more to learn. And there's so much more. There's like a whole trajectory. Like, when you come in, the things that you're learning and they're new to you and people are like, did you know this about ADHD? And I'm like, yeah, hun, I knew. Like, it's like,
Well, I mean, that's like school, right? You don't teach the same stuff to the little kids as you do to the high school kids.
It's very much like that. It's like the newbies, right? You're just like, oh, you're new around here.
Yeah.
Huh? That's exciting to you still. I bet it is. I remember when I was excited about that.
Isn't that fun when you work with somebody like that or somebody new comes to the job?
Yes.
You're like, oh,
You're like,
it's so cute. Yes. I hope you keep that for a while.
Right? It's like, oh, you're not bitter. Oh, man.
The good old days.
You're not disgruntled at all. You're just full of enthusiasm.
It's good to have that too, though, because it reminds you, I think that's it's good to reflect.
It is. And, but like, that's being a newbie. Like, you're just wandering around, you're sucking information in, you don't really know what's going to work for you. So you're spending money and time and trying to.
Oh God, it's like being a parent.
It is just
you figure it out.
Parent. It's just like being a new parent. And you know what? It's probably even more like being a parent when you've already got a child. Like becoming a parent to a different child and thinking that you're going to just like smoothly coast down and find out that you got a child with a completely different personality, which requires a whole new set of skills. So you get to do it all again.
Well, I'm a twin, and my parents used to call us night and day.
Oh my gosh.
Looked completely different, acted completely different. So some parents get
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this peek behind the scenes with Sarah and I. And I hope you took something from it that'll be helpful for your journey ahead. Until next time. I'm Renee. You can find me at blackgirllostkeys.com. Please reach out to us and let us know what you think. Record a voice memo or write an email and send it to connect@distractionpodcast.com. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our producer is Sarah Guertin.
The episode you just heard was made possible by our sponsor, Landmark College, the college for students who learn differently, offering comprehensive supports for students with ADHD and other learning differences, both on campus and online. Learn more at lcdistraction.org.